In the last video, we created a simple hello world program which simply prints hello world message on the console. In this video, we will see few basic terms used in Java such as identifiers, reserved words, data types and literals. First, let's see identifiers. Any name in Java program is an identifier, so it can be a method name or variable name or a class name. So as you can see in this program, main is an identifier which is name of this method. Then hello world is an identifier which is name of this class, and string is an identifier which is name of a predefined standard class in Java, and args is an identifier which is a variable name. Here I am defining an identifier a which is a variable of type integer and assigning it a value 0. Let's compile this program. And it has compiled successfully. However, there are certain rules for defining identifiers, and the first rule is any identifier can contain only these characters. It can contain any alphabet from A to Z, both in upper as well as lowercase. Then it can contain any digit, so all the digits from 0 to 9, and apart from this it can contain two special characters, which is $sign and one is underscore sign. So while defining an identifier we can use only these characters. So for example, int AB123, this is a valid name of an identifier. So if we recompile this, so the program has compiled successfully. However, if I use any other character apart from these, for example, let's say if I use AB123 and hash, and if I try to compile this program, this is giving compile time error, that illegal character. This is first rule for defining an identifier. Second rule is we cannot start identifier with a digit. So int ABC hash is invalid, but if I start this, for example, with a digit, then it is not a valid identifier. So again, if I recompile this, it is giving me an error. Next is we cannot use any reserved word as an identifier. We will see more about reserved words. So these are words like if, else and such words which are reserved for some specific purpose. So for example, I cannot write int if is equal to 0. This will again result into compile time error, as you can see here. However, we can define identifier of any length, so there is no length limitation on defining the name of an identifier. So for example, I can define an identifier of any length. So this is a perfectly valid identifier name. So I can compile this, and you can see it has compiled successfully. However, it is recommended to use a meaningful and short name for an identifier. Now let's see reserved words. There remain some words in every language which can only be used for specific functionality only, and hence we cannot use those words as identifiers or for any other purpose. In Java, there are 53 reserved words, and if you want to have a look at what all reserved words are there, you can simply Google Java reserved words, and here you can see the list of all the 53 reserved words. double, else, do, if. All these are reserved words in Java, and the point to remember is that we cannot use any of these words as an identifier. Next is data types in Java. Java is a strongly typed programming language, which means that every variable or expression must have some type, and if we are assigning something to a variable, then it is checked by the compiler whether it is compatible or not. If we talk about primitive data types, which are non-object types, then there are 8 data types in Java, and we can categorize them into 2 parts. So these can be categorized into 2 parts. One is number data types, and the next is non-numeric data types. If we talk about number data types, then we have byte, short, int, long, float, and double. So these are numeric data types, and non-numeric data types are char for character and boolean. So these are 8 primitive data types in Java. Let's see each of these in details. First is byte. You can write byte b is equal to 1, and then we can display its value on the console. System.out.print ln b. Now let's save and compile this program. Let's run this. So the value of b is 1. Now if we talk about byte, its size is 1 byte, which is equivalent to 8 bits. Now out of these 8 bits, 1 bit, which is the most significant bit, is used as sign bit. So if I have 8 bits, so these are 8 bits, and out of this the most significant bit is used as a signed indicator. So if it can be either 0 or it can either be 1. Now this value indicates whether the number is positive or negative, and the actual value, the actual number, gets stored in only these 7 bits. So the maximum value we can store in byte data type is 127, and the minimum value is -128. So this is the range of byte data type. So if I write byte b is equal to 128, so this is invalid, and the compiler will give an error. And you can see that possible loss of precision. So the maximum size, the maximum number we can store is 127. However, I am trying to store 128, so that's why the compiler has errored out this program. Now byte is best choice if we want to handle data in terms of streams. For example, if I want to transfer data from file to database, or if I want to transfer data over the network, then byte is the best data type we can use. Similarly, we have short data type, whose size is 2 bytes, which is 16 bits. So as again the most significant bit is used as a signed indicator, the range is -2 to the power 15 to 2 to the power 15 minus 1. So this is range of short data type, and this is around 32767. So this is the maximum integer value we can store inside a short data type. And this is the most rarely used data type in Java, as the 16-bit processors like 8085 are completely outdated, and hence the corresponding short data type is also outdated. Next data type is integer, and the size of integer is 4 bytes, which is equal to 32 bits. And this is the most commonly used data type in Java. So again, the range of integer data type is -2 to the power 31 to 2 to the power 31 minus 1. Now, as this is of 32 bits, this is the most commonly used data type in Java. But sometimes integer may not be enough to hold big values. Then in that case we should go for long type. So after integer we have next data type, which is long. Now, for example, if I want to store information such as distance traveled by light in 1000 dates, so to hold this value integer may not be enough, and in this case we should go for long data type. So its size is 8 bytes, and which is equivalent to 64 bits, and hence the range is -2 to the power 63 to 2 to the power 63 minus 1. This is long data type. Now, all the above data types, byte, short, integer, long, these all are meant for representing integral values. However, if we want to represent floating point values which contain decimal numbers, then in that case we must go for floating point data types, and the floating point data types are float and double. So first is float. So if we want 5 to 6 decimal places of accuracy, we should go for float. So, and the size of float data type is 4 bytes, and the range is 3.4 into 10 to the power -38 to 3.4 into 10 to the power 38. So we can write this in the term of exponential form as well. So 3.4 e minus 38 to 3.4 e38. So the float is of 4 bytes, and if we want 14 to 15 decimal places of accuracy, in that case we have to go for double data type. Double is of size 8 bytes, and the range is 1.7 into 10 to the power -308 to 1.7 into 10 to the power 308. So this is the range for double data type. So let's take one example. For example, if I want to calculate area of circle, so let's define double by radius and area. So pi is equal to 3.14, and for example our radius is 10, and so the area of circle will be a is equal to pi r square, so pi multiplied by r multiplied by r. Then we can simply display the result here. Area of circle is A. So let's save this and compile this program. Oh, it's area here. So let's save and compile again. Now let's run this, and you can see the area of circle is 314.0. so 3.14 into 100 is 314. So we are done with numeric data types: byte, short, integer, long, float and double. Now the other two data types which are remaining are non-numeric, and these are boolean and char. Now if we talk about boolean, variable of boolean type can have either of the two values, either false or true. So boolean has no fixed size and it is dependent upon various virtual machines, and again there is no range for this data type, as it can have only one of these values, either true or false. So we can create a boolean variables, boolean b, and then simply assigning it a value either of these, either true or false. So let's compile this. So this has run successfully. So it can take either true or false. So the main use of boolean is in case of if we are using if conditions and if else conditions, then in that case we can use boolean variables to represent either of the condition, whether it is true or false. So we will see more about boolean in future lectures. Next is char data type. So in all languages such as C, C++, the character data type is of 1 byte only, so that is 8 bits. Now using 8 bits we can represent only 256 characters, because using 8 bits we can have 256 distinct values. But Java is a Unicode based language, and the number of different characters in Unicode are more than 256. So to represent these many characters, 8 bits are not enough, and thus in Java we have the size of char is 2 bytes, which is equivalent to 16 bits. This is char of 16 bits. So using 16 bits we can represent 65536 distinct values. So the values of character ranges from 0 to 65535. So these many distinct values we can represent using 2 bytes. So let's say, for example, here I am declaring a variable C of type char and assigning it a value D. Okay, and let's print the value of C here. Save and compile this. So when we run this, the value of C is D, which is of type char. So that's all about data types. So in this video we discussed about various literals, what are reserved words, then what are various data types, numeric data types, non-numeric data types. That's all from this video. Thanks.